One of the most shameful areas of involuntary servitude in our society is the widespread practice of compulsory commitment, or involuntary hospitalization of mental patients. In former generations, this incarceration of non-criminals was frankly carried out as a measure against mental patients to remove them from society. The practice of 20th century liberalism has been superficially more humane, but actually far more insidious. Now physicians and psychiatrists help incarcerate these unfortunates for their own good. The humanitarian rhetoric has permitted a far more widespread use of the practice, and for one thing, has allowed disgruntled relatives to put away their loved ones without suffering a guilty conscience. In the last decade, the libertarian psychiatrist and psychoanalyst Dr. Thomas S. Szasz has carried on a one-man crusade, at first seemingly hopeless, but now increasingly influential in the psychiatric field, against compulsory commitment. In numerous books and articles, Dr. Szasz has delivered a comprehensive and systematic attack on this practice. He has insisted, for example, that involuntary commitment is a profound violation of medical ethics. Instead of serving the patient, the physician here serves others, the family, the state, to act against and tyrannize over completely the person he is supposed to be helping. Compulsory commitment and compulsory therapy, moreover, are far more likely to aggravate and perpetuate mental illness than to cure it. All too often, Szasz points out, commitment is a device for incarcerating and thereby disposing of disagreeable relatives, rather than a genuine aid to the patient. The guiding rationale for compulsory commitment is that the patient might well be dangerous to himself or to others. The first grave flaw in this approach is that the police, or the law, in stepping in not when an overt aggressive act is in the process of occurring, but on someone's judgment that such an act might someday take place. But this provides an open sesame for unlimited tyranny. Anyone might be adjudged to be capable of or likely to commit a crime someday, and therefore on such grounds anyone may legitimately be locked up, not for a crime, but because someone thinks he might commit one. This sort of thinking justifies not only incarceration, but permanent incarceration of anyone under suspicion. But the fundamental libertarian creed holds that every individual is capable of free will and free choice, that no one, however likely to commit a crime in the future based on a statistical or any other judgment, is inevitably determined to do so, and that in any case it is immoral and itself invasive and criminal to coerce anyone who is not an overt and present rather than a suspected criminal. Recently, Dr. Szasz was asked, "But don't you think that society has the right and the duty to care for those individuals adjudged to be dangerous to themselves and others?" Szasz cogently replied, "I think the idea of helping people by imprisoning them and doing terrible things to them is a religious concept, as the idea of saving witches by torture and burning once was. As far as dangerousness to self is concerned, I believe, as did John Stuart Mill, that a man's body and soul are his own, not the state's, and furthermore that each individual has the right, if you will, to do with his body as he pleases, so long as he doesn't harm anyone else or infringe on someone else's right.